Welcome back to Newcomers podcast, people, where I explore what it means to be an immigrant with immigrants like myself. Today, I'm talking to Mustafa Ansari, who's the Director of Marketing for Toronto Business Development Center. And we're talking skilled trades. Yes, skilled trades. Because I feel like as immigrants, this is actually the first time I'm talking to someone about that. And there's a huge opportunity there for people, even though we tend to avoid it. I don't know why. We think it's not cool. Maybe we don't. Or there's something Mustafa says in the episode, which he says, we think, or people think, and I think that way too, that let's say, for example, you get into trucking, you're just going to be a truck driver all your life. But that's not true. Apparently you can get into trucking and grow up to be director of safety or director of marketing or director of office or something, or you can become the vice president or the president. Apparently you can grow through your career. But yeah, let's talk about his journey and why I think you should explore the skilled trades as you're moving to Canada. Enjoy. You moved here 2018, right?
Yep.
So that's 8 years.
Yeah, in the summer of 2018. So
it's exactly about 8 years or 7 years. My math is correct.
seven-ish, eight. Yeah, it feels like a long time now.
If you look back, because I like that question a lot because of what you're doing right now with TBDC, and we'll get to that. But if you look back at the Mustafa that arrived here 8 years ago, what are the three biggest things you tell yourself? You tell that Mustafa then. What are the three biggest things you tell that Mustafa now if you had the chance to just kind of talk to him?
Be curious, learn about all the cultures, learn about every opportunity that comes in my way. Came from Pakistan, didn't have that many opportunities here. In Canada, there's so many opportunities, so many odd jobs. So just be curious. Have pride in everything you work for. Don't take
Oh.
anything for granted. And then the one thing I have to tell my old Mustafa is that nothing is guaranteed in Canada, or I would say anywhere in the world. There could be layoffs tomorrow, there could be budget cuts, there could be a change of restructuring. Anything happens. Don't think that your tomorrow
Yeah.
you've planned it out. Anything can happen, so plan accordingly.
I really like that last one. Actually, I like the last one a lot. I think that and maybe I'm just gonna go. Maybe it's how I listen to head them, but I like the last one a lot, and I like the one about being open and just be curious, be open, right, and then expect anything. Expect anything that happens to you, because I find that as an immigrant, we say that we say we're expecting anything, but I'm not sure in reality we really understand what we say when we say we're expecting anything. We kind of think that everything will just go happen, things will happen easy. You come in, you get a job, your life will be great. You tell the folks back home that you've now settled in, send some money back home, and they will pray for you if your family prays, and you'll be like, yes, I'm all right. Well, it's never like that for most people.
Yeah, it's the example I gave is that be prepared how to deal in Canada, how you deal with the Canadian weather. You could, wear your hoodie, go out. It could be super hot all of a sudden. You take the hoodie off. It could start raining. You take your umbrella out. It could be sunny. It could snow. Everything can happen in like 24 hours. So be prepared for anything.
Yeah. And another thing is 8 years is quite a while, but do you feel like you're settled in yet?
So one thing I read just last night. Once you're like around 30 age, you spend 20 years in another country, around 10 years in another country. You're always looking for that, where do I fit in the puzzle? Like I'm half here, half there. I go back home every year. So I feel like I can't be fully 100% at one place because my parents and family's back home. Here all my friends are here, my job is here, my work is here. So I am settled here, I'm settled there, but I'm not fully settled anywhere.
Yeah. I usually call that the in-betweener. I call that the in-betweener. So literally you're in between cultures. I'm trying to see if I can find, so I haven't yet seen someone yet who's fully, maybe I didn't ask the people who had lived here that long this question. So I can't say I haven't seen, but a lot of people I've spoken to feels like everyone, no matter how long they live here, there's always that where you're always feeling like you're never fully Canadian and you're never still fully like if you go back to Pakistan, like if I go back to Nigeria, you're like, I don't really fit into this place anymore. I'm not really
Yeah,
exactly there are things they do that I'm like, what are you doing? And all that stuff. And then
yeah,
like a lady said to me some days ago, she said, even after she's gotten the passport, when you go, like, let's say you go to the States for something, they're like, where are you from? You say, you're Canadian. Like, no, where exactly are you from? And so
it's a lot.
you have the passport, like you're a Canadian, but
Yeah.
you're still not a Canadian, and I don't know what that, like, you've got your passport, right?
Yeah, yeah. Even my friends who were born here, they still get asked the same question. Like, where are you from? They're like, I was born in Canada. So they're like, where are your parents from? Oh, even they were born in Canada. Where are your grandparents from? Oh, they're from back India, from Pakistan. So,
It's just wild, actually. And because I know that, and I know that the people who don't get those questions, and there are people who get those questions. It's always an interesting thing. It's like, I mean, I hate to feel like a victim, and I try not to do that. It's just like, why are you asking me that question in the first place? Like, because there are people you won't ask that question.
yeah.
Even though those folks were probably not born here, like, or the exactly same like me, same journey, but they don't get asked that question. I get asked that question. You know,
Yeah.
talking about like you still have family back home, just something to explore there, which is like, how has it? You've been here 8 years. How has it affected relationship with people back home? You said you go back home every year, which is
Yeah.
pretty good. Like I admire that. But how has it affected relationship with people back home? Like this, are you still the same Mustafa when you go back? Do you land in the airport and you drop your Canadian self and wear your Pakistani self and just start behaving, or like is there like a settling process where you struggle every single time? Does it get easier or does it get harder?
So when I'm in Canada, the memories that I live from Pakistan are all the good memories that I think about in Pakistan, not the reasons why I left Pakistan. So every year when I go, I get that reminder why I left
I
Pakistan. The
left.
minute I land at the airport and I look at the long queues and I look at the VIP protocol and everything that's going wrong, and I'm like, this is why I left Pakistan. But because a lot of my circle here is also from India, Pakistan. My language is pretty much the same. I speak Urdu, Hindi quite often. So when I go back home, it's just, I think the biggest change that I felt the first time I went back, that was, I think, maybe like a few years after, was the lens that I see the world has broadened a lot. And when I
Yeah.
go back home to Pakistan, see the surroundings that I was in, I was like, man, I was thinking so small at that time. I was just not dreaming big enough. The world is too big. So when I go back home, I do feel like my colleagues or my family might have think that I have that a bit of, maybe you can say, arrogance, that I'm in Canada, the passport, I've made it. But it just feels better because the best thing I like about going back home to Pakistan is that $1 Canadian goes a long way. And so I'm like, if it's like, the food that I'm getting here for one person, I can get the whole family over this. I'm like, yeah, it's on me, it's on me. So, uh, but that's not the story just with me. A lot of my friends. So the thing with Pakistan is that in December there are a lot of weddings. The weather is good. Everyone's coming back home from UK, Australia, USA. So all my friends and cousins are coming back. So everyone does a get together, and then it's so I've made it mandatory that every year, and my family has also told me that every year, like from 15th December or before, I go till New Year's, at least 2 3 weeks, and kind of refill my Pakistani Pakistaniness into it.
Yeah, it reminds me of I was speaking to an American who moved to Uganda, and he said this thing about how sometimes you just want to meet, and I had not seen it that way before, but sometimes you just want to meet your people that you're comfortable with, because then what that does for you is you refill, and then you can go back into the world, because sometimes like people tend to approach that conversation like as if it's a bad thing, that, oh, you're always trying to meet your people. And I think the lesson for me there was that it's okay to actually, like, keep an open mind to experiencing all the parts of the world. But then it's normal to every now and then to go refill with the people who you feel yourself with. Like you're not exactly trying to be someone else. Because the truth is that, especially if you move here as an adult, it can be exhausting just trying to do that switch where you switch from, in your example, from Pakistani to Pakistani Canadian. And it's because it's like it's an exhausting place to be all the time, you know.
Yeah. The good thing, or I would say the bad thing about Pakistani people in Pakistan is that they don't care what you've done in life. They will still treat you the same way. So I get that software update every time. They treat me like I'm a nobody, and I kind of like it because the it's fun. It's a different perspective, and regardless, like all my friends from around the world, if they're doing big things, everyone when they come back to Pakistan in December, they're treated like they're a nobody, and that's like a fun feeling to have.
Yeah. That's a good thing to have in your culture. I'm not sure it's exactly like that back in Nigeria. I'm not sure.
It's
I'm
a
not sure.
humbling
It's that
experience.
yeah, it keeps that's it keeps you grounded. Like that's the thing. I
Yeah,
can imagine that it keeps you grounded. It keeps your head out of the clouds. Because I think one of the human flaws is that we can so easily get carried away by ourselves and how important we think we are. Like, that's one of our flaws as humans.
yeah, that's true.
I want to talk a bit about the part of just kind of settling into a job and stuff. And like I first of all, and maybe I'm just kind of jumping too far, but let me just do that actually, because I feel like I'm just going from point A to point Z. But I'm curious, like, why TBDC? To be honest, like, I know you did mention about funding and all that, but like, why TBDC? Because because the idea that you're talking about skilled trades and work, trying to help sort do that, like, why that? Like, because it's not for a lot of immigrants. It feels like immigrants come and they start saying, oh, they want to do certain kind of jobs, and skilled trades are not. I mean, maybe I'm ignorant to how that space works, but it feels like if you look at the immigrant discourse, the skilled trade conversation is not exactly as it should be. And it's an important one to have, if we're being honest. But it's not there. Like it just feels like it's not there. So when I'm talking to someone who works in that space and tries to help immigrants understand why they should do that, I'm like, so why? Like, how did you get there? Like, how did you get to that
Yeah,
point where you're doing that? Yeah.
it's a longer story, but I'll get into it. I used to live in Kingston before moving to Toronto. That's where I went to study a master's degree. I went to Queens. So in Kingston, there was this uh, organization called Kingston Economic Development Center, and I used to admire that organization like for a long time. Like anything that's happening in Kingston, they used to be involved. They used to be at every event. Their work was to get more projects, more funding into Kingston, look over the downtown, look over everything. So I think every city has that. Some have a
Yeah.
EIA, some have their own local economic development corporation. I tried hard to get into that, couldn't get in. Anytime there was a posting, I think I was the first one to apply, still couldn't land a job there. Anyway, long story short, moved to Toronto, had a few jobs in between, was looking for work, and I saw the Toronto Business Development Center hiring it was a lower position than I was capable of, and I was coming from a master's degree. But I wanted to step into the door. I wanted to be part of the organization. And at that time, I was thinking like, I'm good enough for a senior manager. That position was a junior social media analyst or something. I was like, I don't care. I want to get in because I saw the project that they had. They had projects for the Ontario government, for the city of Toronto, city of Brampton, some federal projects as well. And at that time, it was more focused on getting foreign entrepreneurs come into uh, Canada and expand their business. It was part of the startup visa program. So that really interested me because, when I was in Kingston, I was part of the Queen's Innovation Incubator. So I
Oh,
knew
okay.
about startups and all that from a very long time. And I was always interested in this space and getting entrepreneurs from overseas to come here and, help them resettling. And, that was always something I liked. So I started off with that, did well. And then TBDC was growing, so they told me that we have a new project that's coming in. It's in the local workforce employment space, and it's two industries. Nobody talks about them. No one's done any creative marketing around it. these two industries, trucking and skilled trades, they're sitting empty. They want someone creative to come in and kind of innovate the space, think something out of the box. And you know how you've been doing a lot of things with the startup industry. That industry, is saturated, lots of innovation happening there, but bring some of that to this space. And I was like, sure. These two industries, I have no idea what's happening there. I've never thought about them. I've the only thing I've seen is construction, which I just make fun of all the time.
Yeah.
The trucks that on the highway make everybody slow. That's the only information I have. So it was a challenge for me, and I like this challenge because I knew that this is where the money is. These two industries, this is where it is, because I knew a few people who got into the trades and they were balling. They like I knew a few people, like my uncle told me that my there was some work, some carpentry work I had in my basement. So I called this local person, and I'm sitting in my lounge and I hear like those fancy cars coming in, boom, boom, and I was like, "What's happening on my street?" I go there, the carpenter comes in a Ferrari. I'm like, "What's happening here?" So I had to do a crash course. I did everything to learn about these industries. I went to their events, and there are similar industries. Proper organizations, business, have HR, everything. But it's just that they cater to an industry that doesn't have the best of images, image, you can say, public image, and it does not attract that many people, because anyone who's coming in, or the youth graduating, they're like, I want a desk job. I want something that's 9 to 5, pays decent, and I go back home. At that time, 2023, early 24, AI was not that big at that time as well. Now
Yeah.
AI has made everyone's job easy, so nobody wants to go in the trades. But so this program came in, we had a training program, we were training people, and then the name of both the programs was Explore Skilled Trades and Explore Trucking Careers. And I'm like, I want more people to learn about this, because I know I've seen these videos where people are lining up outside a grocery store or a McDonald's, and it's like one position, and they're like 500 people queued up around the block trying. And I'm like, you guys are telling me there's a shortage happening here in this industry, and these people, I just want to channel them here, be that bridge in between. And I'm not forcing them to come and work in this industry. I want them to come and learn about it. If they don't
Yeah.
like it, that's fine, because it's not for everyone. If you're a truck driver, sometimes you have to drop off a load in California, so you're out for 10, 15 days, and then you come back. Skilled trades, it's manual work, hard labor. Some
Yeah.
people, they might not like it, but for both of them, you can just do a 3 to 5 weeks course, get the license, and you're in. So no 4 years degree, no spending, thousands of dollars to get in.
Mm.
Most of the programs are funded. And that's how I got into, at that time, I became a marketing associate, and then I started working on these things. And I'm like, I'm going to bring in virtual reality, artificial reality, 3D. We're going to make marketing very next level. So even right now, if you go to exploreskilltrades.com, and then you go to the apply now section. So I'm a big video game person. So I told my friend, my designer, I said, when you're playing Counter Strike and you're choosing a person and the people keep changing, I want that to be for skilled trades. And when you're changing, it's a carpenter, a plumber. So if you see the website, that's exactly how it is right now. And for trucking, I was like, you're selecting cars on Need for Speed. So I want that. I want that on the website. So when all of these ideas came into the vision, came to reality, people were amazed in this industry. They're like, "Whoa, what's happening here? We're still, brick and mortar newspaper era, and this guy's coming and doing a lot of innovation, and we got recognized. We got some awards and some features." So that was just the marketing side. Once I got in touch with a few employers who said, like, I'll give you an example. It came, I think the news was just released yesterday. So, City of Toronto, the garbage collection. I've never thought about who comes and picks up the garbage. I just know I put my trash there and somebody comes in and picks it, and end of story. These guys make a lot of money. These guys drive a truck, so it's part of the trucking program. So one of the recycling company, GFL, now the city of Toronto is kind of privatizing the contract. Now they will come and pick up the trash from the 1st of January 2026. And they said we need to hire 300 truck drivers. We can't find 300 truck drivers. We've bought 300 trucks already. They're all parked, they're all shining. And I went to see them in Tobigo. They're like, can you help us, get some people? And I'm like, okay, we do so many info sessions, boot camps where industry experts come in, they give a presentation. These people are interested. Some of them have gotten the license. So I started doing industry field trips. I was like, we've done too many info sessions, too many boot camps. Somebody comes and presents, half the people are sleeping, half the people are playing a video game. I want them to come to the industry, see the trucks, drive a truck simulator, touch the truck, have a ride along, experience the whole thing. And somebody who's working can come and present and talk about, okay, this is how much I make per 2 weeks, this is my timing, this is how much manual labor is needed. Once we started doing that, our interest kind of peaked. A lot of people started coming to our events. A lot of people, because they knew the job is right there. I just need the proper
Yeah.
training and certification, and if I pass the test, I can get the job. So far, I think around 10 to 15 people have gotten the job. I know a lot of them applied. Some of them didn't pass the road test. I don't know what was happening, but uh, that was a big win for us because we were able to get 10 to 12 people employed. And even though we're not an employment Ontario provider, we got
Oh,
this thing done because we had the connection, and we had the infrastructure ready to do it. So this is one of the success story.
well, that's nice, actually. I mean, first of all, I love the passion with which you used to describe the thing, and then like the way you approach the site is dope. Because you're like taking your lessons from gaming and using that on the side. Like that's pretty interesting. Um, hmm, that's a what can be done honestly to sort of help that conversation get better. Because you're so right about yes, AI has sort of made it. It has sort of AI has highlighted why some of those roles are important and why people need to kind of get those roles because a robot can't yet drive a truck, at least for now,
Yeah.
or like maybe at some point there will be robots that can do that. But I'm just curious, like, how do we help immigrants kind of understand that that's part of something that is available in Canada? One is worth doing because it's also kind of linked to what you said earlier on about um you know like I don't know. I forget how you. I can. I'm not saying it exactly as you put it, but the point about be proud of whatever you do. Like, don't look down on anything because I feel like there's some of that is maybe probably like, why should I go pack garbage, for example? Isn't it's like, oh, why should I do something? Like, I don't want to do those kind of roles. I want to go wear a suit or do a cool job, and or maybe that's not what's happening, but I'm hypothesizing here. But it's like I think the main question is really like how do we help people see that? Like, what any thoughts just from because you've been speaking to these people, both applicants and both the employers, like any thoughts on that and how we can help?
Yeah, I think the one big game changer has been the money that you can get from this industry. Like starting salary is like 65, 70K. Don't need that many certifications to get started, and as an apprentice you can make money. Truck driver, even if you just do the city recycling work, you can make good money. So the money part has been there for some immigrants, like even for me. We come to Canada with a big dream, and
Yes.
I would say like only 2 to 5% in this economy achieve that dream. For the other ones, once that dream breaks and then when reality hits and you have bills to pay, that's when most of the people are coming into our sessions, not before. Because I can totally understand that, nothing worked out. Their work experience from back home didn't get counted as much as in they wanted in Canada. Can't find jobs, don't have the connections, new to Canada, no Canadian experience. So, all
Yeah.
those things come in and then they're like, okay, I have bills to pay. I have to pay rent. I have a family. I have to get groceries. So they're coming to events like they're like, okay, I'm willing to learn more about the skill trades or trucking just to just to get employed for now. And then once they get into the industry, then they're like, why didn't I know about this before? And then I think it's just been these industries, and not just these two. Like there's another one that I haven't worked in yet, but I often hear about the agriculture industry. and they're having a
Yeah.
shortage of workforce. And I'm like, that is such a fun industry. I used to play Farmville all the time on Facebook way back.
It's not as
I
easy
used
as
to,
Farmville, though.
I'm like, I know about everything about agriculture because I had a farm on Facebook. So these industries, I think they just have that public image thing. And once we started a podcast at the office as well, posting many clips about people just sharing their experience, how they could, afford everything that they have, how they made it, best insights, practices, and more events. So we partner with lots of Employment Ontario and community organization, and I think that's just helping us get a foot into the door. And I think that's how we are trying to solve it for now, taking them to the industry.
Hmm. Because yeah, it's. I think there's that public perception. There's just also knowing what exists. Like people don't know what exists, and so it's to what does exist out there and all that.
Yeah,
I think so.
because
We're kind of rounding up now. Yeah, sorry. So sorry, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying that I think a few weeks or months back there was a report that Toronto has the most number of cranes in North America, and there's so much construction happening. Like we see construction all year round everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
roads, buildings, houses. So because they want, oh bless you, they want more
Yeah,
construction to be there
thanks.
because there's lots of opportunity right now.
Hmm. I think yeah. No, I was just saying. So I was saying earlier on that we're rounding up right now, but I think maybe the first question before I ask my last question is now just knowing all that you know right now. For anyone who's coming to Canada today, this moving to Toronto, for example, like how do they even start? Like, what's like a playbook for kind of just saying, getting a sense of what's happening in the skill trade and deciding if you want to go there and just deciding if there's a particular one that calls to you that you want to try out. Like, where do they start from? How do they start?
Yeah, so I think one thing that everyone should do is like once they land in Canada and they're looking for a job, they should connect with whoever the local employment Ontario organization is, whether it's Achieve or neighborhood organization or JVS. Connect with them so that your file is open. They help you get employed. They look at your resume and then you let them know, okay, I'm interested in skill trades or something. So either they would have a program or they would connect with somebody or they would connect with somebody like us. And we would come in, we do regular workshops and they come and attend. They learn about the skill trades, the type of skill trades available, which one has what pay, what kind of work, which one they like. I know few people who have done more than like 5 to 10 skill trades. Like they know how to do carpentry, painting, plumbing, uh, cabinets, making everything. They know a lot of things because once you're in it, then you want to explore the other ones as well because you want to be self-sufficient. They've made a lot of stuff on their own. So that's how somebody who's new to Canada, they can come in and then they could we do workshops where there's a practical as well. So we will help guide you. You can make a pipe through wood. We've done a few times. People really like it because when you make something from your own hand for the first time, the feeling is very different. You can
It's
say, okay,
amazing. Oh, it's amazing.
I had these tools and I made this out of it. So once you
Yeah.
get that flavor, then I just said that, when I was a kid, even right now, I make a lot of Lego. Lego's my favorite pastime. And you
Yeah.
just increase the scale of that, and that's what you're doing in construction.
Mm, that's a good way to say it, actually. That's a pitch for you. That's something you should put in your social media pitches, actually. Like it's like real life Lego, actually. That's what it is, actually. It's real life Lego. Yeah. And to kind of round it up, I think what is the biggest myth about those industries that you would want to in dispel, like just say, hey, doesn't happen? Because I feel like part of the public perception is the myth, like, oh, and so for example, it's a lot of hard work. Yes, there's hard work everywhere. I think it's just the kind of hard work. And so I think what's the biggest myth you think you see, or almost the biggest question you see people ask in your info sessions, that is when you're like, no, who told you that? That's not true. What's that biggest?
Yeah, the biggest one that we hear all the time is that women say that these industries are not for them. And we do a
Ah,
lot of women specific programs where we bring in women speakers to come in and talk about their experience. They're like, no, this is I heard the same thing, but I gave it a try, and I was treated very fairly. I made good money out of it, and now I'm training other women to come into this industry. So the woman part is one. The other one is that people think that to be in construction you have to be big, strong, sturdy, but I've seen a lot of short people. I've seen a lot of people who are not the most physically fit, but everyone does it. And what a lot of people think is that once they come into either truck driver position or a construction position, they're going to do the same thing for the next 20-25 years. But I've seen a lot of people grow really fast. So these industries, their growth is really fast, and they end up taking an office position, or they train other people to come in, or they, like, a lot of vice presidents that I've met in these companies, they all started from the bottom. Like, they were
yeah.
a truck driver, somebody who was in construction, and then they made it all the way to director of safety, president, CEO. So the growth opportunity is a lot, and people only envision themselves, oh, I don't want to do this for the next 10 years, but that might not be the case.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, because I feel like even me, like while we're talking, like I think it's a thing that I don't know where where that programming comes from, but I think it's a subconscious thing where when you hear those roles in your head, you just kind of assume that that's all you're going to do. Like that's, oh, I'm going to become a truck driver, then I'm just a truck driver. Like I'm just a truck driver, that kind of thing. And even if you're just a truck driver, there are probably different routes. I mean, so it's just like finding what you love or finding the joy in it and all that. But there's just that thing of in your head where, because as you're saying, I was like, yeah. I was actually somehow that was also in my head too. It's like, if I went to say I wanted to learn how to drive trucks right now, for example, or go work in construction, probably I'm just going to be doing that for the next 5-6 years. That's good. Thank you so much. Like this has been really helpful, and it's going to really help for people who listen to it. Thank you so much, Mustafa.
Yeah, anytime.
Useful much, right? I think it is. And I think I'm going to be exploring this topic a bit more with, people who work in the skilled trades industry, because I think it's an important conversation to have. Yeah, thank you so much for getting to this point of the podcast. I really appreciate your time. I do. If you know someone who finds it useful, please send to them. If you know someone we should talk to, please send them my way. As always, we're YouTube, Substack, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get a podcast, you find us there. Enjoy.